Salama.
And just for clarity, we are a team of eminent Kenyans, people who are law-abiding, people who are very patriotic to seeing this nation getting to a better state. And we have a statement that is going to be made, led by our senior, PLO Lumumba. After this, Professor PLO Lumumba, and after this you will have an opportunity to speak to each one of us, or if we have anything to follow up the same, we are going to deal with just after the official reason why we are here, and then we will proceed from that to the next level. So please feel free. We want it to be an engagement session because what we are starting is expected to go further, and we want your help to get it out there. Thank you very much. Professor PLO Lumumba.
Let me first say how glad I am that you ladies and gentlemen of the media have taken time on this 27th day of August, the year 2023. If you remember history, 13 years ago today, the Constitution of Kenya 2010 was promulgated. This would therefore be the 13th birthday of the Constitution of Kenya 2010. And we as patriotic Kenyans have lived with this Constitution. We have seen the Constitution change our country in many ways. We have seen devolution play out. It has its strengths and weaknesses. We have seen a new presidential system. We have seen our independent commission serve us. But even in the face of all that, and knowing as we do that there is no man-made document that is ever perfect, Kenyans throughout the life of the Constitution have tried to improve the Constitution. You will remember we had an initiative by members of our political class called Okoa Kenya. The whole idea was to improve and strengthen the constitutional dispensation in the area that they considered weak. That initiative did not realize any fruits. We did not stop there. We had yet another initiative called Punguza Mizigo. Punguza Mizigo went its full course, and it too did not yield the desired fruits. And it did not stop there. There was yet another initiative called the BBI, which was an initiative designed once again to re-examine the Constitution with a view to improving the Constitution. As we speak to you now, there is a national dialogue. And all of us will always remember that the tree of democracy is always watered by well-intentioned dialogue. Indeed, it is a cliche that when people cease to dialogue, democracy dies. Why are we here today? Do we count ourselves as different from other Kenyans? No, we don't. But we are Kenyans who have chosen the path of not merely grumbling and complaining, but organizing ourselves. We are here, therefore, to make known to Kenyans that we ought to engage in a conversation. It is a conversation that is anticipated by the Constitution at Article 257 to commence a popular initiative with a view to having our Constitution amended. And we are simply bringing these conversations to the public because we believe that a true popular initiative must have ideas from the public, so that what we suggest today will, in a manner of speaking, be cross-fertilized and cross-pollinated by the ideas of fellow Kenyans, including you, the media, who are Kenyans and whom we believe are Kenyans of goodwill. We believe through our preliminary examination that there are certain aspects of the Constitution that need to be re-examined. We believe that issues dealing with integrity and ethics deserve re-examination because the auger of corruption continues to be an albatross around the neck of our country, undermining our growth and in many ways stunting our growth. We believe that that area should be examined. We also believe that our representation ought to be examined. For the last 10 years, we've been grappling with the question of representation of women, but that is not the only area that we ought to focus on. We believe that we should look at marginalized communities. Do they think and feel that they are part of Kenya? Do the Ogiek of Kenya feel that they are part of Kenya? Do the Wata of Kenya think they are part of Kenya? Do the Dashnach feel that they are part of Kenya? We believe that this is the time to look at the question, or to relook at the question of representation once again. We are also saying that our legislature and legislative architecture needs to be re-examined. There are those who believe that we are overrepresented. There are those who believe that we are underrepresented. And we believe that this is the time once again to ask ourselves, after 13 years, can we do better? We will therefore be proposing that we ought to do that in the face of the many arguments that are on the table. There are those who believe that the architecture of our executive arm of government ought to be re-examined. And if there was any doubt, we have seen many things play in our courts. We have seen the creation of an office called Prime Cabinet Secretary. It is not directly mentioned in the Constitution. Ought we examine that area? We have seen the creations of CAS, and we are saying the time is now to examine our executive architecture and satisfy ourselves that it is something that can take us forward for the next generation and generations yet to be born. And we do not stop there. We hold the view that we ought to re-examine our devolution. Devolution has done many beautiful things, but there is a sense in which certain things that have also happened which have undermined devolution. One cannot quarrel with devolution. One can only say that is something that can be improved. We have our ideas, but we want Kenyans to contribute to how that will happen going forward. We have many constitutional commissions. In the view of some of us, too many. This is the time to ask ourselves, can we do better? Do we need more, or we need few which are well-funded and effective? We are saying that we have offices such as the split in the office of the Auditor General and the split in the office of the Budget Controller. We moved away from a single office. We have two offices. Are we the richer, or we are the poorer because of it? Lastly, East African community is thinking about integration. Right now, there is a committee appointed by the heads of states in East Africa for the constitution of East African Confederation, headed by Ugandan's retired Chief Justice Benjamin Odoki. Is it not the proper time that our own constitution should also, in a very specific manner, be aligned to what is happening in East Africa, and indeed what is happening in the continent of Africa? Many of you will know, for example, that we have the Africa Continental Free Trade Area and Africa Agenda 2063, and that the idea is to ensure that we have seamless trade across Africa and that we will remove tariff and non-tariff barriers. Is it not the time to align our constitution to ensure that there is free movement of labor and to dissolve our borders? Is it not the time that we deal with issues of visa in our constitution and issues of an Africa or a Kenya that is a good citizen of East Africa and a good citizen of Africa. These are the issues that we are bringing on the table, and we are saying that on a day to be announced, we shall commence the process of collection of signatures, which must be a minimum of 1 million, in order to ignite the process of a popular initiative. In that endeavor, we shall do our very best, because that is the only thing that we can promise. In that endeavor, we'll have people who will oppose us, we'll have people who will support us, but we will move with the delicacy of sleepwalkers and with the exactness of an arrow leaving a bow. And you in the media, we expect that you'll give us the oxygen of publicity that we need in order to ensure that this exercise realizes her chosen goal. That is what we are here for. That is what we asked to be done. Are we better than all? No. The only distinction that we have stopped agonizing. We have started organizing. Thank you, and God bless you.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate the media. First, we live in a country of which its populace, 75% is the youth. These youth are very brilliant. They are very educated. However, they are very hopeless. I want us to look at it from the legislative and the integral part. How is this affecting the youth? We've had issues of unemployment. We, as the Popular Initiative, I therefore encourage the youth that they be creative and innovative. Youth is not a qualification, integrity is. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Ruth Wangoi, and the question at hand from me is about the women. For a very long time, women have been left out and marginalized in many areas. They haven't been included. Inclusivity has been a question at hand, and equitability in the region. So what are we here to talk about? It's nothing new. All we are saying, in the Constitution, we have the affirmative action. Has it been upheld to the letter? So that's what we're going to be talking about in the future, in the conversation that we shall have. Thank you very much.
Gentlemen, it is an honor to be here on the 13th birthday of our 2010 Constitution. Speaking from the point of view of professionals and also the business and the industry of private sector, I am in full support of this popular initiative to actually help relook at the issues that we have in our Constitution, and also come up with new ways of dealing with some of those issues. We all know them, we all talk about them, we all whine and complain about them, and I think that, to me, this is the opportunity that we have as Kenyans to actually participate in a process that will enable us to actually table all these issues, come up with the best way forward in terms of reviewing our Constitution. And so I invite you, the media, I invite all Kenyans to actually join in this initiative. Luckily, it is an initiative provided for in the Constitution, Article 257, that talks about popular initiative that will involve every single Kenyan. So welcome to the initiative, and it is my honor to actually be a part of this. Thank you very much.
Finally, we all know that 13 years later, it is time for us to relook at the issues that have been raised by Kenyans in the Constitution. It is only in order, it is normal that constitutions are relooked into 10 years after. We have been grappling, leaders have been talking about it. The issue has been who's going to bail the cat. And we are here on behalf of Kenyans to give it the oomph that is definitely needed to take us forth. When you listen to His Excellency, our dear President Ruto, he is talking about a winner takes it all culture that we must bring to an end. When you listen to the leader of opposition, he's talking about inclusivity. This can only be achieved and balanced with the inclusion of all Kenyans to participate in a process that they would call it an initiative that is popular and that carries each one of us. And therefore we want to bring this in so that everyone might be at peace, and it becomes a legacy of the current president of Kenya to have made Kenya a better way, and a place where even indeed those at the bottom of the pyramid are part of this major process. Talking about climate change, what do we hand over to the future of our country? What do we bring out that is going to be respected by the communities, and so that we have sustainable livelihoods? These are the questions that need to be anchored in a constitution, having seen what it has done for us in the last 13 years and issues that have been presented that we now must go physical to deal with them. It's been long enough that we've just been smiling in the dark, having ideas that are never brought out. It's now time to move from plan to action so that we can get a better country for posterity. Thank you.
Not active during BBI. What I did, I think I presented one of the most comprehensive statements about BBI, 27 pages, analyzing why I thought it was an initiative that was not necessary at that moment. And if you look at my document, which I'll give you, it speaks to the areas that I thought needed constitutional amendment at a time such as this. Number two, there is in Kenya today the question of cost of living, a legitimate question. Is it unique to Kenya? No. The cost of living is a worldwide phenomenon. Countries in Europe are undergoing recession. I've traveled in Africa in the last 5 months. Cost of living is an issue that is alive and well. Is economy tied to governance? Yes. Governance is what creates an enabling economic environment, or an environment that allows the economy to thrive. And in looking at the Constitution, one of the things that you want to do is to improve efficiency in governance. If you have a country where the value of, or rather the percentage of our income, almost 46% of our income goes into recurrent expenditure, then it tells you something ought to be re-examined. And therefore, when we talk of a new constitutional dispensation, we must remind ourselves that a proper constitutional dispensation that is accompanied by constitutionalism. Kumbuka hivi, the Bible does not make a good Christian. The Quran in and of itself does not make a good Muslim. The Gita in and of itself does not make a good Hindu. What those documents do is to inspire you into goodness. So constitutionalism, the culture of obeying the Constitution, is one of the things that we want to inculcate going forward. And then you ask, may our initiative, should we be worried about this initiative because the others failed? You know, Thomas Edison, who gave us the light bulb, failed 15 times. He succeeded on the 15th attempt. So my view is, you keep on knocking the door until the door opens. That is what we are doing. And we are not in the business of worrying whether we will fail or succeed. That is not in our hand. Our hand is to come out as we have, to tell Kenyans that we are telling you that there is a time and that there is an opportunity to re-examine the Constitution. Is there a constitutional moment? Yes, there is a constitutional moment. When you see a country after every election goes on the edge, when you see a country that is extra-constitutionally engaged in dialogue, it tells you that this is the time to reason together. Because we have recognized that outside of the Constitution, there is something that we are not doing well. And this time round we are saying, why can't we immunize our Constitution for the long haul, so that it's not after every election that we disobey our Constitution. There is a constitutional moment. There is a moment. The saying goes, hit the iron when it is hot. The iron is hot. That is why not too far from here at the Bomas of Kenya, we have individuals from the opposition, individuals from government, looking at Kenya and saying, how can we make Kenya better? That two-legged stool needs a third leg. We are the third leg, we the people of Kenya.
We are fully aware that the Constitution is the hardware of the entire process. The software is an issue that must be dealt with, just like my colleague has talked about. Who is going to drive that software process where we can all be law-abiding, patriotic citizens in this country? We are living in a country where every 5 years, out of the 5 years, 3 years is the years for working, and 2 years we have investors' flight, leaving the country because we are already in a campaign mode. So the process even of profiteering and the process of economic growth is staggered, so that we lose 2 years in every cycle of an election period. Isn't this the time to start looking at this, so that we are focused to achieve what we must be able to achieve? And is it not the time now that we are that important third leg, that the Christians and the leaders of the religious institutions bring out how they are going to rebuild the culture of value in our country? It's because the Constitution as it is, chapter 10, brings out a lot of force that we must be able to go through it. But the software is rotten. That is why we need to start dealing with it. But we can only do that upon having a clear foundation that we can build in and build on, so that our country can be great again. This is the moment, and I make my very passionate appeal to His Excellency the President of the Republic of Kenya to be supportive of this process, because it adds value to his leadership and it becomes a legacy that Kenyans will forever remember him. And also to the side of the opposition, where they are driving different issues that must also be led and anchored on the Constitution. This is our nation. This is a country that we must leave something that will forever be remembered out of actions that we made during this day going forward.
Asanteni sana. Waswahili wanasema ya kwamba, kwa Kiswahili tu, siri ya maendeleo ya nchi yote ni watu, ardhi, siasa safi ambayo imejikita kwa ukatiba. Sisi tumekuja hapa kama wazalendo, tukihamasishwa na msemo wa Kiswahili, mtaka cha uvunguni sharti ya iname. Tunainama hii leo ili tuvipate vya uvunguni. Asanteni.
Asante. Well done.
Asanteni sana. Asanteni sana. Asante sana. Asante sana. Asante sana. Asanteni sana. Asanteni. Asanteni sana.
Thank you.
Oh.
No,